Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is another Decktech coming at you with low life plays here with Mendicant Core Guidelight. This one is just copying artifact shenanigans from Aetherdrift, and as soon as I saw it, I'm a big artifact person, so had to at least throw a build together, and it's been pretty fun. You know, you copy Portal of Phyrexia one time, and then you're like, yeah, I could see why this is a fun deck to try out. So, Mendicant, if you're unfamiliar, it's 1 white and a blue, therefore an X3 robot, canonically. That's pretty cool. Mendicant Core's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, and it has start your engines. So if you don't have any speed, you get speed. And then when you're at max speed, which is 4, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can pay 1 mana. If you do, copy it. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty alright. So that explains that, and then we got our little speed token here. Bam. Go up in speed. Starting off with some card draw. We got classic Ristic Buddy, Esper Sentinel. You know, I mean, he's just pretty much something where you could copy him. That's pretty great. So he's good in the early game to help you get that card draw. He's, you know, a 1-drop, so you can start hitting, getting speed. Once you've started your engines, you know, pretty much Mendicant Core is the best way. But we do have Amonkhet Raceway. But, you know, you're pretty reliably starting your engines on turn 2 every time. So getting him out turn 1, turn 2, swing, it's pretty good, right? Lasheel Clockwork Scholar. This one's pretty fun. You know, prevents all combat damage, so you don't have to worry about attacking, which is one of the biggest things you got to do, because it takes a little bit for Mendicant to get big, and even if he does, even if he's in a million power, he still has 3 toughness, right? So being able to prevent combat damage that's dealt to him is pretty nice. It gives you the ability to swing in. Whenever one or more artifacts enter under your control, draw a card. Can only trigger once each turn, but still really nice, just extra card draw. Forensic Gadgeteer, one of the best cards in the whole deck, really. I mean, it's so effective. Whenever you cast an artifact, you can investigate, and then activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. Can't make it less than 1 mana, but you just get so many clues, and then you can pop them for 1. Just such consistent card draw. Vidalcan Archmage, classic blue artifact card draw. You know, you just cast artifacts, draw cards, really, really good. Shorekai, Genesis Engine. I mean, I just love this card. You know, he's just so strong. Big old mobile suit looking dude. You can just pay 1, draw 2, discard 2, and make a pilot. Really, really nice. Trading Post. I love to clone Trading Post, right? Just you get so much flexibility with this, where you can discard cards, you know, make tokens, sack tokens to recur artifacts, sack artifacts, draw cards. It just gives you so much flexibility to just turn whatever resources you're working with into other resources you need. So that's why I really enjoy it. Biden of Thassa, we're already swinging, so let's just draw cards for swinging, and then it can, you know, it has the extra ability here. Thopter Spy Network. Thopters are so good for us, because 1/1 evasive flyers to just build that speed, super, super interesting, super, super good. We have a lot of buffs for our creatures, too, because this is more of an aggro deck. You know, we're not typically in the Azorius, I guess, typal kind of thing. We're very much just aggro artifacts. So having this and being able to draw cards whenever you deal damage with an artifact creature is really, really good. Research Thief, same thing, right? Whenever an artifact creature deals damage to a player, boom, combat damage specifically, draw a card. Has flash, so you can get it in on your opponent's end step and then swing with it. Canoptic Spider, more card draw. You know, whenever a non-token artifact or vehicle ETBs, draw a card under your control. Thought Monitor. Just excellent late game, really good early game. You know, cloning this for 1. I mean, if you have 6 artifacts in play, which is not hard at all, then boom. Then you can just pay 1 blue and a colorless and draw 4 cards with that copy. Oh, so good. Soul Ring, classic. Liquid Metal Torque, just turning things into artifacts, but it also ramps, so it can turn, you know, just interesting things into artifacts, get some interesting synergies, like with Trading Post, you can sack things. It's just really nice. Talisman of Progress, Azorius Signet, Arcane Signet. Oaken Siren. This one is an interesting one that I'm testing out. You know, it's 2 mana, but it is a 2/1 flying Vigi, so it also can tap. So it's a mana dork that can fly, so it can help build speed, but it can also help cast artifact spells. So I really enjoy this card, and I think it can have a lot of potential. So I like that. Ethereum Sculptor. I mean, if we're casting artifacts, let's just make them cheaper, you know? Ornithopter of Paradise. Same thing, just cheaper. Hourglass of the Lost. This is also a test slot here. I think it could be interesting. You know, it adds, you put time counters on it. Then you can remove time counters to return each non-land. It's kind of like a board protection because you do commit to the board. So having this felt pretty good. So I don't know yet, though. It's still flexible. Sad Boy. Copy a Sad Boy. That's draw 2 cards, ramp twice. Seems pretty good to me. Thran Dynamo. Just an excellent little ramp package. I might take this out for more aggressive artifact creatures, but it's just The way this Mendicant core deck is played, whenever I've played it, it just gets so much value. It's not hard, because I mean, once you're done building your speed, then you're switching more into a value mindset, and then your big artifacts or your big buffs and stuff is how you close the game out. So, I don't know. I think I like it. Hope of Gearper. This is one of our best draws right in the beginning because it has a sack ability to just kind of stumble somebody, but it also is just a 1/1 evasive beater, so you can get in. Same thing with Ginger Brute. Super, super nice to be able to be unblockable. Haste to get that speed. Edge Champion, same thing here. You know, it's more of like the last closing that speed, maybe 3 to 4 area where you're trying to get that last bit so you can start copying things with Mendicant Core, and everyone's built a board state where your little guys can't get through, but he can get through because he's got protection from everything, or all colors. Pretty really easy. I mean, you control 3 or more artifacts. Pretty simple. Goldforged Optrix, another evasive beater, but also gives protection to our legendary permanents. They have Ward 2. It has a little bit of lifelink on it. Spellskite, this card's so stupid. I've loved playing with Spellskite ever since it came out. Spellskite's so fun. So yeah, Spellskite. Crystal Barricade. This one's really interesting. You know, it can come down really early. Just give me hexproof, and that's kind of what I wanted because we're going to be attacking a lot. So just having a few of these, I wanted a few little blockers just to be in the way when we're hitting people's faces all the time. And then this just has a lot of extra stuff to it, right? Prevent all non-combat damage will be dealt to other creatures. Give me hexproof. It's a 0/4. Just good. Tashar, I mean, it's artifact recursion for our little beaters or just, you know, interesting value pieces. T-Pro, you can run it if you want. I run it because we're committing hard to the board. So I like to just have something as like a, oh, nope, I'm out kind of situation. Emery, Lurker of the Lock, we're in Azorius artifacts, you know, like we're running Emery. It's so good for recursion. So, I mean, that Emery should just be in most lists, right? Digsite Engineer. This one's really good, and I would also like to add the Synthesizer card from Thunder Junction, but that thing is so high right now. But I would like to add that also into this list for a similar reason where you can make these constructs because it's so strong, right? I mean, Digsite Engineers, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can just pay 2 and then you make a construct, which is so nice to us because we're already going so wide to make Mendicant so big. Ultec Matter Weaver, this can be really nice in the way that whenever you cast a creature, you can, for its second ability, specifically, where you create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. So this is really good in the late game, mid game, late game, where you get these powerful artifact tokens in play, and then you can just start perpetuating and making more and more and more of them. Really strong. Psymaster Thopterist, just card draw, makes Thopters. It's everything we need. This is one of the big beater cards, right? Stridehanger Automaton. This card is so nuts in this deck. We have a lot of cards that make Thopters. He makes Thopters, and then he buffs them. So casting this and copying it is just wild, right? I mean, then any time an artifact token would be created, if you had 2 of them, you would just make 2 Thopters, and they'd be getting +2/+2. This card can just go really, really crazy, especially when you combine it with Illustrious Wanderglyph. Both of these cards fill a similar purpose. This one does it a little bit more interesting in that it's just, you know, every upkeep you're making a 1/1, and then you're buffing so hard, right? This thing is a huge threat on its own. Even if you have nothing else, it can make such a crazy board state problem. Mirage Mirror. Why don't we just take the best thing that we have and make another one of it? You know, everything that is a super problematic permanent is going to be an artifact for us. So let's just copy it and copy it when it's in play. So like Illustrious Wanderglyph, it's really, really good. Same thing with Sculpting Steel. Having these copy effects can be really good if maybe we're getting stumbled on getting to max speed, so we can still go with our game plan of creating these value pieces and creating more than one of them. So this can help us out if that gets in there. And then if we are on game plan and Mendicant is doing what he's supposed to be doing, it's just extra icing on the cake where we're just copying again. So it's really no downside. Machine God's Effigy. I've always been on this card. I really like it. I mean, it has so much flexibility where it can become a copy of any creature and it's a mana rock. It's so good. Same thing. Phyrexian Metamorph. Amazing clone card. So flexible. Love to have it. Removal. We're going to run Path and Dispatch. You know, instead of swords, we're just running the artifact swords, Dispatch. Stroke of Midnight, just to get rid of, you know, non-land permanents. Supreme Verdict, sometimes you just gotta blow the whole board away, so we're running that. We're also running Promise of Loyalty as another board wipe. Cityscape Leveler, this is one of the ones that is really good to copy for the attack trigger, right? Because you won't get a second cast trigger, that's fine. You cast it, you blow something up, you make a copy of it, and then you can swing and blow 2 things up. I mean, not the same turn, but it's really, really nice. And then they get Power Stones, which is like, whatever, we don't really care. So, love Cityscape Leveler in this list. Riptide Gearhulk, so good. This card is so insane. Being able to tuck things is wild. I mean, it's so powerful. And for only 5 mana, this is so oppressive, especially in Mendicant. If you get max speed and then you go Riptide Gearhulk copied, it's an ETB ability, so then you just tuck 2 things on each opponent's boards, and then you have 2/5 prowess double strikers. It's so strong. Organic Extinction, just a really nice, affordable wipe for us, because we can improvise it and destroy all non-artifacts, so it's a one-sided wipe. Retrofitter Foundry, this can make a board out of nothing, especially if we copy it, because then we can start creating a servo, turning the servo into a Thopter, or turning multiple Thopters into 4/4s on our opponent's end steps. It can be really flexible here, so I like this. I feel like it's very similar to Trading Post in some of its flexibility. It's just really, really fun to also operate, because it's very easy it's 1 mana, so it's very easy to get out and copy it and just create some interesting states. Crashing Drawbridge, just a really nice, helpful card to give our creatures haste. I like it, and it also helps in that little suite of things where we're just trying to have some blockers because we are very aggressive. Repurposing Bay, this is a test slot. I mean, I didn't build the deck in a step-by-step, mana set for like a birthing pod style list, but it's been pretty good, and I like the idea that you can get 2 of it in play, and then you can start just, sifting through what you might need. It has come in pretty handy so far, so that's what Repurposing Bay is in here for. You could definitely swap this out if you wanted to go more aggressive or, more control. You should, lean into this. It's really nice. Still trying to figure out where I exactly want this list to go. Unwinding Clock, I mean, it's just a powerful artifact, right? It's just so good. This lets you swing in and not worry. You can untap everything and just lets you be more aggressive. Also lets you abuse all of these tap artifacts that we've been talking about to such a crazy extent. So really, really strong. Anointed Procession. This one would definitely be something that you could cut just because of its price point. I know it's super, super high. I got it a long time ago. Anointed Procession, though, or any sort of token doubler, is pretty strong in here, because then whenever you create a token, you create another one. And any of them that are at that 4 mana value area are pretty good. And I just had an Anointed Procession, so threw that in here. Giggling Skitter Spike. This card is super fun to play with, right? Whenever it attacks, blocks, or becomes the target of a spell, just start dealing damage equal to its power to each opponent. There's not a lot we can do outside of like the board buffing things for this, but that seems to be enough. Monstrosity, you can Monstrosity itself. Having 2 of it is just super, super strong. It's indestructible. It really has a lot of flexibility to do a lot of different things. Bronze Guardian. This card is so good in this deck, man. Double Strike Ward 2. Other artifacts you have Ward 2, and then it is as big as how many artifacts you have. Really strong, and I love to make 2 of this and then give all other artifacts. I control Ward 4. It's so wild. So wild. It's a double striker, so it can just really be a huge, huge problem. Chimil the Inner Sun. Just a fun card, right? You can't double it because it's a legendary, but makes it so your big bombs can't be countered, so when you are casting and copying things, you're not having to worry about it. And then it also just discovers 5, so it can really get a lot out of our deck. There's not a ton of super high-end things, so I really like it in here, but you can definitely swap this out for something else. That's the kind of the fun of artifact decks, I think, is there's so many powerful ones that you can just, I'll probably be changing this list all the time, but this is what I'm running right now. Wormcoil Engine, just such a strong card. It's so good. I don't think Wormcoil needs any explanation. Kappa Cannoneer. This is one of the cards that you can just close games out, right? It has Improvise, so we can come out early, start getting you that speed too, because it has Ward 4, and whenever an artifact ETBs, it gets bigger and can't be blocked. I have closed multiple games where you've copied a Kappa Cannoneer, and then you just play a few artifacts, because it's when an artifact ETBs. So when all your clones, anything, it just skyrockets. And then when it does, they're unblockable now, and it starts as a 4/4. So it can really just start beating face really, really hard. And then Cyberdrive Awakener. When you have all these clones of all these other powerful, static artifacts in play, this can just help close games. But I might swap this out for something else, because I've had a few times where this card's been in my hand, and you know, it can either win you the game or it can just sit in your hand and do nothing, but that's kind of what it's for, right? So it's a good game closer, and we do end up with a huge plethora of just like non-creature artifacts out there, so it can really help in those instances. Filigree Angel. This card is something I've loved since Alara, and I really, really enjoy it. Just the having something, you know, when you're low on life and you know you have a Filigree Angel in your list, it can really help. Just like, I have an out. And if you cast this and double it, oh man, you just skyrocket in life totals. I've had it take me from like 20 to 100. So strong. I love Filigree Angel. And then Portal to Phyrexia. So Portal to Phyrexia is one of the ones that was really what initially sparked my idea when I saw Mendicant Core, and I was like, oh, Portal to Phyrexia would be pretty insane, right? You just copy it, each opponent sacks 6 creatures, and then you can start just resurrecting everything. It's just, this is a closer, right? This card can wipe the board and then start rebuilding your board way faster than theirs. Love Portal to Phyrexia. And then we got our lands. So we're going to run Prairie Stream, Flood, Farm Verge, Adakar, Ardarkar Wastes, Meticulous Archive, Hollowed Fountain, Sea of Clouds, Nimbus Maze, Glacial Fortress, Port Town. That's what we're running for our dual lands. I'm running Famari Vault. I think this one is really, really good. It is always performed in my list. You know, pay 3, discard a card, look at the top X, where X is going to be, it's going to be a bunch. And you can just start really picking what you need in the moment. I mean, I've done this for like 14 or like even like 5 or 6. It can be really nice to just get you the next spell you might need. Amonkhet Raceway, one of our best lands, just because it starts our engines. So we can start our engines if we're not able to get, you know, Mendicant Core out, but either way, it also just plays into the max speed plan where we can start giving things haste, and it really doesn't impact our board state or plan at all. Just an extra value land. Doesn't even come in tapped. Reliquary Tower, just, you know, classic. We draw cards. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, pretty standard pair there. I am running Archway of Innovation. You know, it comes in tapped unless you control an island, and then you can give spells improvise. This can help with some of our bigger spells. It's just a nice one, and we're running so many artifacts, might as well. Running Witch Enchanter. Card's nuts, right? I mean, just ETBs, destroy target artifact or enchantment in white. It's just super valuable on a white land. And I'm running Flooded Strand. Just, you know, I like it. Just fetch whatever color we need. And then we're going to be running just some plains, right? We're just running a bunch of plains. I picked the Phyrexian plains because I think they're cool. I had a set of those laying around with enough to also supplement with the islands. So it's pretty fun. I have been enjoying this list a lot. I love playing artifacts, and this felt like an interesting way to play them that was a little bit different than what I'm normally used to in like Esper artifact lists where you're just trying to combo out. You know, you're trying to beat face and then just, but it's still very similar in lines of just artifacts and all the value that they create. But I like it. You know, Mendicant Core, really fun. I like really low-cost commanders who have a really interesting ability like this where you can just get so much value copying nutso things. That's why I think I'm going to swap out cards a lot of the time, just because I'm going to test out big artifact bombs that have ETB abilities or have crazy abilities if you were to have 2 of them in play. There's so many to try. And that's what I also like in a deck list, is something where I can always be on the lookout for, on the next set, something that's coming out, something that I was like, ooh, that would be really good in Mendicant. And I love those types of decks that have that flexibility to always be updated and, you know, interesting pathways that I like. So if you liked Mendicant Core and, you know, you're having a good time, just, you know, leave a like, comment down below, or subscribe if you like me that much. But I got the Moxfield link in the bottom, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!